Good morning. We are here in Adelaide's Rundle Mall, traditional country of the Kaurna people, for a special event. We are here to help mend the planet. Today, members of Extinction Rebellion and friends of the rebellion are here for a Stitch It, don't ditch it. And that is our slogan. Hashtag Stitch It, don't ditch it. And we're just getting started on various projects. Now, why here? Why in the mall? What's it all about? Well, today we are outside global fast fashion behemoth H&M in Adelaide's Rundle Mall, and part of a global movement, part of a global movement with the hashtag Stitch It, don't ditch it, to try and highlight and combat the horrors of the fast fashion industry. There is some information in the header of the live stream, but what is fast fashion? We hear the term a lot. Some people use it, maybe not even really know what it means. But fast fashion is a phenomenon that started some years ago, where the clothes industry, marketing industry for clothing companies, I think it was Zara actually, second largest company in the planet, who sort of set a target to be able to design, produce and put on the shelves a new item within 15 days. So that's create, make, sell within 15 days. And that set up the fast fashion industry, where there is a continuous cycle of creating and I keep wanting to say publish, but that's not quite the right word, but put on the shelves and sell fashion. So every couple of weeks there'll be new exciting things for people to buy and change their clothes regularly with the latest thing. But the problem is there is a huge downside. I mean, that sounds great. Cheap fashion, available to everybody, not just for people with deep pockets. But the problem is the manufacture. And what happens to all the clothes that don't get sold? And we've got a few facts and figures here. If I can find my numbers, it's the second. No, sorry, it's not so easy to juggle bits of paper. So the global fashion industry has a huge impact on climate and affecting climate change. And we need the fast fashion industry to slow down, to help slow down, ideally stop, the effects on climate change. How about this? 1.2 billion tonnes of carbon dioxide is released per year by the fast fashion industry. This is more than all the CO2 emitted by aircraft and ships throughout the whole world every year. So that's just in creating clothes, worst impact. 8 to 10% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions are created by the fast fashion industry. And people say, well, you know, we've got cheap artificial fibres to make, but 342 million barrels of oil every year are made in the production of artificial fibres. So let's go to natural fibres instead. Well, we've got problems with the cotton industry, vast volumes of water being used there. So much more needs to be done to A, not make all these clothes, and B, have a look at recycling and reclaiming fibres. So using old clothes, either again, go to your op shops, Don't chuck your old clothes out, mend them. So we've got some wonderful stitching going on here, and I've particularly noticed these wonderful patches on a pair of jeans here. So if you don't like the fashion of holes in your jeans, which many do, you can patch them and make a fashion statement of it. And here we go. And turning a collar. Do you know, I remember my mum, who, well, she was born a very long time ago and is no longer with us, but at school she was taught how to turn collars and cuffs.
Yep.
So you just because
it's all worn out this side, and look, other side. Beautiful.
Is perfectly fine.
Perfectly fine. So we're going to turn it around.
So
that gets hidden.
Yes.
Underneath the collar on the other side.
So you unpick it with a Swifty unpickery thing.
Yep.
And then turn it around and stitch it back on.
And then turn it around and stitch it back on. Perhaps at home with a sewing machine.
Yeah. Yes, but you got to can start that anywhere. So fantastic. So turning collars and cuffs is not a big job. Now I must admit I am not the most dexterous with a needle, but plenty of people are. So if you can't do it, find somebody who can.
And as you can tell, this is like a favourite shirt, and so
Yes.
why would I throw it out?
Absolutely.
Oh, the heartbreak.
I know. I have got some favourite pieces which the moths have got into, and I'm still hesitating, but I'm determined to put patches on them. Darn, make some nice darnings on jumpers. So here we go.
You can patch those. I teach mending if you want to learn how to patch them instead of darning all those little tiny holes.
So this is Mary, who's saying that she teaches some mending. Now this is what I'm going to be doing.
Okay, so this is darning a sock, which is basically replacing the very worn section of a knit item with woven stitches that weave in and out. So I'm just creating some new fabric with my thread in the place on the toe of this sock where my sweetheart's toe has just about poked through.
You've got to remember to cut those toenails.
Yeah, you have. But looking after your clothing starts with the way you wear it and the way you wash it. But
Yes.
Things that you wear and wear and wear will wear out, and you can extend their life with mending. And this is like one of the very cool techniques. My mum taught me how to do this when I was still in primary school.
Well, again, another admission that I've got to fess up to here today is when I was very young, primary school.
I didn't think we were in a confessional.
No, well, I'm just confessing to the whole world here. How awful is that? But I was in an organisation for a little while called the Brownies.
So was I.
Which I hated. And I absolutely balked against the fact that we girls were being taught how to do ironing, folding, knitting, and darning. So I do know the principle from decades and decades and decades ago, and I sort of quite regret my early feminist leanings of just because I'm a girl, why should I learn how to? And now I'm going to learn the skills properly.
I think I took up feminism a bit differently than you, because I did think there were some things that I was indoctrinated into that I decided not to take up or to kick against, as you did. But I also just thought women have all these amazing skills. Yes. They've learned them under circumstances in which they didn't have a lot of choice. But as a person who has had a choice about whether to darn my socks or not, I think making sure that you're not wasting resources makes total sense. And in the case of these socks, I knit them, which took me a long time, maybe 20 hours.
They're beautiful.
And I want them to last as long as possible. And I've always felt that way about my favourite clothes. I don't want to let them go.
No, I think that's a theme that we're picking up on here, and I certainly feel that. Do not want to lose your favourite clothes. And I just want to point out that you are using mushroom, is that right, in there?
I am. I've got a
which
darning
are generally
mushroom.
wooden.
This one's wood.
Yeah.
I must admit my mum didn't own one or use one. She grew up in a family that didn't have a lot of money. She always used the bottom of a Vegemite jar.
Aha.
And I just used to do this in my hand, but I must say, the mushroom, I'd the inside of the sock.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Here's the stem of the mushroom.
Yes.
So you can hold on to that, which makes it does make it easier.
Yeah.
And it is a lovely tool, but I've spoken to people whose family used a potato or an orange.
Fantastic.
Or I know I used just my hand when I didn't own any better tools. Or, as I say, my mum used to use the bottom of a Vegemite jar, which was about this size and with a little scoop in when I was a kid.
Yes, yes. So inspirational. I just have to take some image of your fabulous patch as well.
Oh, thank you.
Look at these. That's a really wonderful patch in there.
Thank you.
With some fancy stitching.
Well, it's not fancy. It's running stitch.
It's which?
Running stitch.
Running stitch.
You just
Yes,
go
yes.
in,
Oh,
out,
yes.
in, out.
It's a simple stitch, but
It's
makes them look fancy.
It's a totally simple stitch.
Yes.
It's the favourite for mending all over the world. Whether you're in India where you might be practicing Kantha, or whether you're in Japan where you might be doing Borrow, or whether you grew up in Australia with an Anglo parent who taught you running stitch as your first stitch, which
Yes.
is what my mum did.
Yep.
Mending's not inherently difficult. Sometimes it's time consuming, sometimes it's not even time consuming. Stitching on a button can be the difference between you having a functional garment and one you're not prepared to wear.
Indeed.
So, good
Right.
skills to have and skills that we're going to need in the future.
Absolutely. Reuse. Now I'm going to have a little walk up the line, and I shall come back and maybe have a little bit more of a chat about some of the meanings behind this action, Mary. Thank you. Here, I'm struck by your your magnificent quilted coat here. I'm just taking some pictures of that, and your creation.
Well,
So
yeah,
it's a type of a weaving, really, that you're doing in a way?
It's a felted. It was an old felted scarf, which was unfortunately falling to pieces. So I sewed some tulle on the back,
Okay.
and I'm just putting daisy stitches on the weakest points, just to hold it
Hold it together.
But the beauty
Stunning.
of doing something like that is, as more holes appear, you just put a few more daisy stitches in.
Yes, yes.
And so
So it's a living item
yeah. So you can just keep repairing it until it becomes
and
purely
reinventing
daisy.
it. Yes,
Purely
yes. So
daisy.
you have a complete daisy chain to
Yes,
wear around your neck.
So it's about life and in continuity and keeping things going. I'm a firm believer that if you can double the life of a garment, you halve your environmental impact.
That is an extremely fantastic comment with some of the facts and figures I was just reading out. So, double the life of a garment, halve the environmental impact.
So you don't have to be guilty if something does eventually wear out, because you've actually worn it out. You've used it to the point
Yes,
that it cannot be repaired.
and wearing out doesn't mean the button drops off and you chuck it away. Wearing out means you repair, reuse, repurpose until it has come to an end.
I mean, my skirt, which is hidden, is made from 4
Oh.
pairs of stretch jeans that were completely distorted.
So look at that.
I cut the bits that weren't completely rippled and out and made it into
Yes. So turning your jeans into a skirt with pockets. And who doesn't love a pocket?
Oh, I love this skirt. I thought the pockets down the bottom were just ornamental, but I actually use them quite a lot.
Yes. Fantastic. Thank you so much. I'll see what else I can come across.
Yes.
Couple of you are having a chat there. We're also today, can I take a picture of your flyers as well? We're also today promoting some events that are coming up for Extinction Rebellion South Australia. Currently we've got the Stitch It Don't Stitch It on right now, but coming up we have a whole campaign which we have rolled off called End Fossil Fuels Now, and a major plank, and that's going to be running through this year and into next year. And as a major plank of that, we have coming up Blockade Fossil Fuels. In Adelaide, there's just a flyer just gone there. I will chat, chasing a flyer. In Adelaide, there is going to be an international conference of petroleum engineers, Santos being a major sponsor of that, at Adelaide Convention Centre, October the 17th to 19th. Check out our website, www.xrsa.earth. Well, if you're watching this, you're on our Facebook page. So go to the events section and find all out about the blockade of the Asia Pacific Oil and Gas Conference. Come join us. There's many, many, many different roles that we're looking for people to take. They don't have to be big, scary roles, just some help. The numbers are really going to count. Make it a big event to show that we mean business, that fossil fuels must end now. And part of that is trying to slow down fast fashion. Here we have lovely Emily. What you're mending your beanie,
Yes,
you were
and
saying
I just
earlier.
finished.
You just finished. Can you show me what you did?
Well,
where you did whatever
so
it was
there's
magical?
There was a bit of wool like in here that
Yeah.
kind of pulled all the top together.
Oh yeah.
And so I just re-threaded it, and then I've ended up with this absurd bow on the inside.
Well, that's all hidden.
But hopefully that will last. And
Yes.
so it means that now I've got my super fun beanie that will work again.
And that's a great knit
So
on
I
that,
like it.
great design on that
I know,
beanie. I've
yeah.
not seen one quite like that.
No, it's a very well loved. It's good for putting on after I've been in the ocean.
Oh,
Because it kind of like covers
a complete,
all of my
a complete cover-up job.
a complete cover-up job. That's right.
Yes.
With the, pom-pom.
Yes,
So yeah,
fantastic.
Keep it going.
So that's going to keep, well,
Yeah. And now I
brave
can-
going in the ocean, that's all I can say.
Yeah.
So you got anything else to mend?
Yes, well, I've
Oh,
got my
that looks
ever,
nice. More
sock
sockies.
darning.
Socky darning.
Yes. Yes. So this is a slow process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful colours. I love it.
know.
And that's what's so fun about mending. Mending can be done fantastically invisibly.
Yeah.
So you would never know that this item has been decades old and mended. Or you can make a statement.
And this is going on the sole of my foot, so it's,
Yeah, nobody will see it, but you
nobody
know
will
you've
see
got
it.
that.
But,
That's
it's
great.
So pleasing.
Yes, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That's good. I've got another one to go.
Statement socks. Have fun. Hi, Suzanne. Oh, black on black.
Come back, I know.
Oh gosh, there we go. Now that's definite. Now this is what I'm going to be facing. I was saying I've got some woolen sweaters that have had the moths in them, the little blighters.
Yes.
Just do lots of little things. So there's going to be a scattergun darning. So
Darning's a
here we
fine
go.
thing, isn't it?
And now
Yeah.
you're managing to do that without a mushroom under there.
Just my
Yeah.
lily
White hands. Look at
Yes.
that. And that's it. I mean, so many people would just chuck that out.
But it's
And ridiculous.
yes, indeed, you're right.
Yeah.
Especially when the moths get at it. But it's such a the black's still black, so
Yes.
Yes.
So it'll be a discreet mend. Well, fantastic. So is this something you've always done, or is this a new?
No, I've always done, that's my sewing is mending and putting buttons on,
Yeah.
taking hems up. That's
Yes,
it.
yes.
I don't think I've sewed a thing since I was
No.
about 14.
No,
Yes. An actual thing. you know.
no. No, gosh, no.
But,
That's another realm.
Well, I think you have to have a sewing machine,
Yeah, helps, I believe.
I believe. I've done a bit of embroidery,
Yes.
but so I really like the needle and thread
And stitches on fabric.
and stitches on fabric.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
Yes, I think there's something aesthetically pleasing about it as well.
Yes, and it can be very soothing, therapeutic,
Yes.
doing the action of
I
mending.
used to like knitting, but then on the aeroplanes they take them away from me.
True.
I think where's that stopped?
Probably, I can imagine that's still a thing. Not allowed to have knitting needles on a plane.
No. Are you allowed to have these on the plane?
I'm not sure. Put it to the test.
Yes. That's a good idea. All right.
Right. Thank you, Suzanne. Oh, look, this is a well kitted up kit here.
It's like I do this all the time.
Well, of course you do. And we have even a book, Modern Mending, which sounds like a great title for today's. But I can see you've done some stitching on this bag.
Yes, so it's
Again,
an
more-
old pair of jeans.
Ah.
And so this is the legs of some jeans.
Yeah.
The knees and all the
crotch and everything were
Yeah.
worn away, but
Yes.
the legs were still in
Yeah.
position. And then it's lined with an old pillowcase.
Oh, that's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. So, everything can be repurposed, and that's what I was talking about, recycling and reusing things. So you can either be wearing clothes again, mending them, or completely reuse, repurpose it, and to stop going to landfill. And I know I've got a number here somewhere about the amount that goes to landfill. And off the top of my head, I can't remember, but some horrific billions of tonnes a year. I will dig it out.
So in Australia, it's we import. I've got the number somewhere. But so we import a whole pile of raw textiles and textiles ready-made, of course, like clothing and stuff. But we also export a lot of textiles to landfill overseas.
Yes.
So it's not just our own
No.
landfill that we're taking over. It's those in places like Accra in Ghana.
Yes.
Where they're drowning under the amount of awful quality clothes that are sent over in terrible condition.
Which is hideous. I found a figure, 92 million tonnes of textile waste per year globally.
That doesn't surprise me.
92 million tonnes. It's staggering, isn't it?
So when you take reuse out of the equation,
Yeah.
actual clothing, the amount of clothing that's recycled in Australia is less than 1%.
Yeah.
So offshoring it to be recycled is not actually a solution because for the most part it doesn't get recycled. But we don't have, the only people who do shred garments in Australia mostly burn it for biofuel, which is
Yeah.
just, that's the lowest form of recycling.
Yes. Yeah. And of course, things going to landfill, these fabrics are not going to rot. So much of it is artificial synthetic fibre. They will break down into microfibres, if they break down at all, over God knows how many years, and end up in the soil, in waterways. And there is an immense problem. People are just not beginning to wake up to about microplastics.
Even with a lot of the
I love watching these darnings. Another one.
so this is called honeycomb darn. This is one of the easiest ways to darn socks because it's just blanket stitch, so it's super easy, but also it leaves a lot of stretch in the sock instead of being able to feel it a lot when you wiggle your toes, and also it just looks really cool.
Very pretty. Yes, that's what, I've been having a look at some mending as a statement.
Well, that's what the whole modern mending movement's
Yes,
about.
yes.
So that book I have there is by an amazing woman called Erin Lewis Fitzgerald. She's a Melbourne woman, and she has a lot of examples about how you can mend to be, instead of hiding the mend, it's about visibly mending.
Yes.
So
Yes.
what you do is you make a statement about the fact that you are continuing to use a garment
Yes.
that other people might say, this is a thin old bond sock.
Yep.
A lot of people would say, well, what's the point in mending that? It's only a couple of dollars to buy new.
Yes.
But the embodied carbon in this is actually quite a lot. And in the end, everything has a price. It's just not us that's often paying it.
Yes. And that's the thing, when you say it's only a couple of dollars to buy, that is the problem. Fast fashion, creating this industry where it's so cheap to buy, generally, very often shoddy, falls apart really quickly and easily, and you chuck it out.
Exactly.
That is
so
creating the problem.
I don't say never buy new clothes, because sometimes in the end clothing is a consumable. It is something that has an end of life.
Yeah.
But just be very conscious about what you're buying. So for example, I bought my one brand new item for the year that I'm so excited about receiving. It's from the same city in Ghana as where we send a lot of our
Oh,
landfill.
wow.
A Melbourne brand called Yevu. And they have these beautiful prints that tell a story, but also really functional, fashionable items. But they're really, really well made.
Fantastic.
So even when it's, I've gotten to the point where I no longer want to wear it, the fabric itself will have a lot of life left.
Yes, yes, yes. And you're just using embroidery silk, are you there?
Yeah, this is just
the cotton.
Cotton, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
So usually when I mend, I try to go for like. So this is cotton elastane socks.
Yeah.
The reason for the honeycomb darn is to give it the stretchiness and mimic the elastane. But if I was mending some woolen socks, I'd try to use wool to mend.
Yeah.
And if you wear polyester socks, then you have bigger problems
Yes.
than just with sustainable
So
fashion.
don't buy polyester socks.
Please don't buy polyester socks.
And that's another thing. It can be worth. I know it's very easy to say spend a little bit more, but in the long run, by spending a little bit more, by consciously looking at the fibres that are in your clothes, they're going to last longer and you're going to be able to mend them.
Well, I say spend a little bit less.
Okay. Well, over the year, that'll be less than buying lots of, $2 socks every few weeks.
Exactly.
Mounts up. So get a.
And when you're looking for that new dress, maybe see if you can go to one of those rent-a-dress solutions.
Yes, absolutely.
There's a lot of fantastic online stores popping up around the place
Yes.
that do second-hand clothing.
Yep.
There's Sustainable Clothing Co. who are just in the process of moving to the basement of Equilateral on Charles Street.
Okay.
Just be conscious in your purchasing decisions, and if you look at how much you actually do spend on clothing and you think, I could spend less, then maybe if you spend sustainable, you're actually going to save yourself a whole pile of money.
Yes. So think long term, not instant fast fashion. Thank you. I love your sock. This is live streaming to Facebook, the Extinction Rebellion South Australia's Facebook page. So that's happening there. It's going up now. Hiya, Margaret. What are you burrowing in there for? You're going to be doing some mending?
Black cotton. Now I can't find
Well, I think there's lots of. Somebody else will be able to lend you some.
I've got brown, black.
Pink, yes. Look, I think you really need to do a opposing colour. Contrasting colour.
Okay.
Make it fun.
It's probably only about 20 years old. It's probably, the moment I can't find it, will start perishing again.
Well, more mending to do. So I'm just going to show. We are here in Rundle Mall today for the Stitch It, Don't Ditch It event. So we're here to highlight the problems with fast fashion. And we are outside H&M, which is a global empire of fast fashion, here in Rundle Mall. Busy store where fast fashion have created this fast industry of designing, making and putting on the shelves to sell clothes within a couple of weeks. So constantly bringing out new things, new styles, new colours, new designs to tempt people, and at a fairly low price. So it can be irresistible. But the downside is the horrific cost to the planet and to individuals who are involved in the supply chain of the impact on the planet. I mentioned just now that 92 million tonnes of textile waste are created every year globally. So that's sort of generally going to landfill. There is a massive use of water. There is 1.2 billion tonnes of carbon a year created by the fast fashion industry, which is greater than all of the global maritime shipping and aircrafts put together. Fashion creates more CO2 than those industries. It's the planet's third largest polluter after food and construction. And 8 to 10% of the world's greenhouse emissions. And in using artificial fabrics, fibres, 342 million barrels of oil are used every year to create artificial fibres. And those fibres don't just rot. They're often put into... Oh, I've just got sidetracked by wonderful Chris giving me a great hands up for the facts and figures. Thanks, Chris. So those billions of tons, millions of tons of fabric waste, most of it will end up in landfill. And countries like Australia tend to get rid of their own problems, ship it overseas, and countries like Ghana, who may benefit from being paid to take all this waste, are then left with mounds and mounds, like unbelievable mounds of textiles, which are not going to rot down and not going to be used for compost. They're going to break down into microfibres if they break down at all. So fairly busy here in Rundle Mall today, Saturday. A few people in the heart of clothes shopping. We need clothes. People need to buy clothes. But really, we need to be more conscious of our purchases. Think about the long-term impact. Because if you go into somewhere like H&M, there's a vast choice, a couple of floors of fashion. You don't really think about the people who've actually made the clothes overseas, their conditions, their working conditions, what they are paid. If it's so cheap for us to buy, what is being provided to all the people along the supply chain? What wages are they getting? What are their conditions? I know the fashion industry is saying that they are cleaning it up a lot, and there are some supposedly ethical manufacturers and producers, but we shouldn't have to really go through an academic exercise to actually find whether our clothes are actually being made by people who get a living wage. More needs to be done to clean up the industry at that level as well. Nice to see we have lots of passers-by being interested, having a chat with our rebellious stitchers. We've got some music going to be competing with us soon, but never mind. I'm just going to have a quick peek in here at this gorgeous thing. Oh, your patches. So Deb's making patches for jeans. They're gorgeous. And it's such a simple design, simple stitch, but looks stunning. So effective. And Chelsea, I want to catch you in a sec.
This is never ending.
Oh,
It's lovely as a passenger because you get to
so gorgeous. So gorgeous.
Catch them. And then I just kept going. So I enjoyed doing the sewing.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Extra life. Now, Chelsea.
Yes.
You're going to be somebody I want to catch.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome to Stitch It, Don't Ditch It.
Thank you. Yeah, good
And
to be here.
I love your colours too.
Oh yes.
So,
Well, this is I did say something. My mum made this for me.
oh,
so
good. Well, I
shout out
must.
to my mum.
Yes, fantastic. I've got some at home from my mum, but yeah, decades old. Now I'm going to take my little microphone off. Now you're involved in an interesting project at the
Yes,
moment.
yes, I am.
Share with us what's
Sure.
going
Do you want me to
on?
hold that? Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm studying a master's in narrative therapy and community work, and doing a project around resisting overwhelm and sustaining climate action. So what I'm here today talking to people about the idea of a dictionary of obscure experiences around climate. And so I've got, for example, I'll give an example of I've just got a little handout. That's a little stitching that I did of the Flinders Ranges, a place of sustenance for me, and how that's been helpful in resisting overwhelm. And so on the back I've got some definitions, and I'll just read out. So, for example, this definition is called dog boning. When you know it's time to back away from the conversation, but you just can't let it go. Or handing out the icky bickies. The experience of trying to pass around undesirable morsels of truth about the state of the world or climate crisis and feeling the full apprehension of not having something tastier to offer. So all these playful ways of kind of putting words to experiences that are really hard to describe around the climate crisis, and I guess just exploring how we richly tell our stories to help sustain us and to help encourage other community members to be involved in climate action and contribute to the social movement. So yeah, I'd love to talk to people that are interested. So yeah, that's what I'm just weaving in and talking today.
Overwhelm is a big thing.
It's a massive thing.
Because the thought of climate change is just huge.
Yes, exactly.
And it's too big, and it's so much easier to go, I'm ignoring this.
Absolutely.
I can't deal with it.
Absolutely. And I love Mary at the beginning of our time together talked about stitching, and as we stitch we kind of mend ourselves in the process and seek to mend kind of the world wider. And I think there needs to be so many ways, little ways that we can engage and tell our stories in playful, rich and imaginative ways. So I'm really interested in that. So it's so good to be here. Love it.
Fantastic.
And love XR, great, wonderful group.
Thanks.
No worries.
Thanks, Chelsea. Well, I'll let you get on with your conversations.
No worries, thank you.
And that is one of the points of this exercise, one of the many, many points, is that, XR isn't all about holding up traffic. We are here to mend the planet and help people realise that it is not too late. We can take action. Where there is a will, there is a way, and we need greater political will and greater industry will to get things happening. I want to see if I can catch a few words from Mary. The sock is getting lots of attention here. Hello. Here it is. Well, it's trying to rain a little bit, but before it does pour down, Mary, could I ask you kindly to share a few words, because you said some beautiful words at the beginning of the action. Before now the rain is starting.
We just need to
I think we will move under the canopy. Bye. I think we're going to do a quick canopy go. A little bit of a shower's coming down. I think I'll grab a chair, do my help. Now I'm going to try and come under a little bit of canopy, but I think there's not an awful lot of room to avoid. There's not much room to avoid the doors. Should we perhaps move along down that way? Yeah, thanks. Let's have it. In the wonderful fashion window. Right. Now, as I said, you said some lovely words at the beginning, early on, when we were setting up. So could you share with everybody?
Well, we know that fast fashion is the cause of 5% of the world's total carbon emissions. So it's a contributor to the climate emergency, and it's also a major contributor to pollution, both when the clothing is created and in the case of Australia when it's disposed of. Sometimes clothing that's handed in second-hand here and people think is going to be used is actually exported to other countries, including places in Africa where it's a major source of pollution and a big environmental hazard. So we know that fast fashion is causing problems where it's created. carbon emissions that go into that, but also the exploitation of labour. So people die in our fast fashion industry as the price point's been pushed down. People are engaged making the clothes that Australians wear in more and more exploitative conditions, and sometimes they're very unsafe. And so in instances like the Rana Plaza disaster, a lot of people can die if a fire breaks out or if there's a building collapse. So we're concerned about those things. As Extinction Rebellion, we're here foregrounding climate action, but doing Stitch It, Don't Ditch It, we're part of an international movement that started in England of people drawing attention to this issue by mending in public and saying, how about we mend our clothes rather than throwing them away and letting them become waste and a problem. So we call it regenerative mending because I think we come to mend, but in a manner of speaking we also come to be mended. Mending together in public in this way, I think, is a gentle way of coming together. It's sustaining of our activism, and being in the presence of other compassionate, kind, passionate humans who care about the issues that face our world, I think helps all of us to feel more whole and to find our way forward in a climate emergency where we have to figure out how to live with our climate grief and climate anxiety.
Excellent. Thank you, Mary. And I think we just got under cover just in time.
Because
The rain is coming down. So I will think we're going to be having a think about whether we... A bit of a spring shower in Adelaide. We're going to move.
So we've just checked in. We're just checking in with all the people who are here, and we'll decide amongst ourselves if we want to move in under cover. It just depends on whether you think the rain's setting in or passing through.
Okay.
But we've set up a place to go that's at the rain.
Yes.
They're on a live.
Right. We have a rain situation here. Thanks, Sarah. Thank you for your support and appreciation. Always nice. The rain is coming down. It's fairly fine, but pretty constant. So we're having a little chat, making decide. We have got another location that we can go to if we need. So the action lead is just having a chat with all the menders to see if we want to move or stay here. It looks like Margaret's found her thread.
No, I didn't. I'm using brown on black.
Oh,
you know,
brown on black.
Who's going to notice?
Yeah.
Only me.
I spoke to the people in the cafeteria there, and they said that if your ladies want to, they
can go in there.
in here.
Okay. I'll pass it on. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We've had an offer of I've just been told we've had an offer that we can go in the cafe from the cafe people.
Oh.
The lady in the wheelchair just spoke to me.
One of my friends who's a graphic designer.
Right. As I think for this one, the rain is yikes, very heavy now. We're hopefully going to reconvene in another location, but for now I will close down and say thank you very much to everyone who's checked in. Not a lot of room here. And I hope you've enjoyed learning a few little tips about stitching and not ditching. And hopefully I will log back in again soon for a second session of Stitch It, Don't Ditch It. So cheers.